I found 3 more orange babies in my fish tank today. I knew that there was 2. When I took 4 adults out, like 4 weeks ago, I knew that there was one that was about 4 weeks and one that was about 2 weeks. And I was always meaning to take the one that was 2 weeks out, but because I took the adults out, the other ones didn't look that big, so I didn't think they were that much of a threat, so I thought that I'd leave them in there. But when looking at this fish tank, there are loads of smaller ones in this one, and I thought these 2 would be happier in there. And when I went to go and get them, I actually found 3 new ones that were the same size as what they were like 4 weeks ago. And yeah, these ones are obviously new, so I think they're within 1 or 2 weeks old, which means that my pineapple one did give birth. But I think she has given birth to a lot of them, but they always seem to die. Her ones always seem to die for some reason, because they're different colours. The pineapple ones are sort of lighter red, and then there was one that was like orange with black, and then there was one that was just orange. All the orange and black ones did very well. The orange ones only, though, they all seem to, well, there were some that were like slightly paler, and they all died basically, so I don't know if these 3 new ones that I've saved are going to do very well. But yeah, I know that the pineapple ones, maybe they were tastier or something. I don't know if the colouring has made them more tastier for the group or something, but anyway, we'll see if these ones survive. I don't think any of the other pineapple babies survived, because all of the colourings are either orange and black or just orange. They've all got a black tail. They've all got a small black tail, but some of them have black on the body and some of them just have orange. But yeah, none of them are sort of a paley colour, except for these 3 ones are. But we'll see what happens. Talking about what happened in a UN meeting yesterday, the whole thing just seems like a bunch of garbage. It seems like the most boringest thing you could ever sit through, ever listen to. I don't know what people are talking, just congratulating each other on how amazing they are. Well done for what? I have no idea. Well done for what? I couldn't even tell. I listened to a couple of things that were being said, and I couldn't tell you one thing that got said, because the whole thing just seemed like garbage that didn't make any sense to me. And I don't understand how people who do this think that they are in control of society, or doing something useful for society. What, you just come up with a meeting that talks about a 2-state solution, and your idea for the 2-state solution is just like, why are you not doing it? If you're going to say, okay, let's call Gaza Palestine, let's do it. Don't. It's not a complicated issue. I think West Bank is complicated because there is no borders on that. Like, there is a border, but there are lots of patches that are Jewish areas, and there are lots of patches that are, so that's complicated. But it's not complicated with Gaza, because it's a shape that has been cut off, and Israel are refusing to look after that piece of land. And the problem is, I think the problem with that piece of land, though, is that the people living in it keep on having more and more kids. If you film, I've seen some of the people in the tents, a lot of them had 2, 3, 4, some of them even had 9 kids. If you're going to have a small piece of land that doesn't grow food, you're going to have ways of getting food in and out. Now, you have the sea, so I don't know why they aren't just calling themselves Palestine. I mean, I don't know what the plan is, and I'm trying to work out what the plan is, but I can't work out what the plan is because your UN meeting is a bunch of crap. And I know whatever you're doing, I don't even know if these people who are in the UN meeting are actually the intelligent ones that are working things out, because it could just be that the intelligent ones are hiding and they've just appointed, I don't know, dumb morons to just stand in front and congratulate each other on how amazing they are, and I don't know what they're talking about. I couldn't tell you what that whole meeting was about. It's just... I'd rather listen to them talk about UFOs, because at least I know what they're talking about. They're talking about UFOs. With this one, I don't even know what they're talking about. A 2-state solution, but you can't do it because recognizing Palestine means that you recognize that it existed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years, 100 years ago, and because British had owned that land for 40 years, that means we have to give them money. Why? We're doing you a favor by recognizing you. We're not saying, well, we're not going to recognize you if you're going to start. I have no idea. The whole thing just is a bunch of garbage. And it really does make me think that there are no intelligent people in this world. I'm listening to the films and the songs, and I think, yes, there are intelligent people. You know, these filmmakers obviously are more intelligent, and they've, you know, that they can actually do something that is watchable. You know, I listen to these music videos and I want to watch them, and I'm interested in the words, and I'm interested in what they're saying. But the UN meeting is just a bunch of guys with suits who seem incredibly boring, incredibly dumb, have no, you know, part of being a good leader or stuff, you know, you've got to be able to draw people into you. You've got to be able to say things that are interesting. If people are just falling asleep whilst listening to you, then you're a shit leader, and you shouldn't be in leaders. And I'm not insulting them. I mean, I am insulting them. I just don't know. They're not interesting people to listen to. They're not interesting people to hear. I don't understand the kind of jargon that they just talk. It's like they pretend to be intelligent by talking jargon, but really they're talking jargon. So I don't understand how they can consider themselves to be intelligent for talking jargon. You know, if you're going to have a meeting, you have to actually have a point of having a meeting and a conclusion of what the meeting's going to resolve to, and stuff like this. And it's just, I'm hoping that whatever's going on behind closed doors is actually coming up with a conclusion. But anyway, as to the destruction, I found the Angel of Destruction yesterday. I saw her Ego song 2 days ago. I was actually really, I was listening to Tommy Robinson, and I was really like wanting there to be an Angel of Destruction, or just something that's kind of like I want to end this, like just get rid of everything, like that. I want to kind of blow the world up. I was wondering if there was like an Angel of the World or Angel of who wants to get the world blown up or something. I don't know, like that's how I was feeling. And then I was going through just a bunch of different songs. I did come across her Ego song, but I had no idea who that singer was. So I skipped over it, and then I skipped over Miley Cyrus and Ariana too. I didn't really understand their songs, but I noticed that quite a lot of them had come up with a song in the last 3 weeks. Although Katy Perry's Crush song is actually from last year, but someone has remade it with a much nicer outfit. I prefer her new one. I've seen the older one, but I prefer the newer music video because it's it looks like AI. It doesn't actually look like real Katy Perry. It looks like an AI version of Katy Perry. But it's a nice dress. I like that top. That butterfly top is very nice. But yeah, and then when I was listening to the UN meeting, I think it is, some point at that thing, that's when I saw that Ego song again. And I was kind of thinking, you know what, I did listen to it yesterday, and I didn't like it when I first heard it because it was like me taking the backseat. I don't want to take a backseat like that. That just sounded like an insult to me. But I find the beat quite catchy, and I thought it was a catchy song. If I like a song, I feel like there's meaning behind it. And she also calls me a bitch throughout the whole of it, the end bit. What's it? Let the bitch know, let the bitch know. I mean, that's like really insulting. So I was actually a little bit insulted by that song, but I do like it. And the next day when I saw her song again, you know, I was like, you know, I'm going to have a second listen to this because I really like it. And that's when I started realizing that, yeah, she was an angel, and I think she's the Angel of Destruction. And, you know, I think she's got a deceptive positive name, but I don't know what's going to happen because I can't do anything without people helping me. Someone posted on my wall, "You're God, why can't you just magic things better?" No, that's not how it works, because you don't know who God is. You don't know that God can't just magic things better. That's not what I can do. Whatever your view or interpretation of God is, this is just a lie. It's people wanting God to be able to just ping things and make things magically better by pinging her finger. You know, I would wish that I had that power, but I don't. I have to work with people to do something. And you know, I feel like that post I made on can't we just, is this what the migrants in a hotel, I really don't even want to believe that these migrant hotels are happening. Like that just sounds nonsense, that we are putting migrants in hotels for the sake of helping them. We're supposed to be getting rid of them, not helping them, and saying what, we can't get rid of them because of human rights acts. Well, don't you think the human rights in this country deserve to have their country back, and not to have it overrun by Asian people? You know, I don't want to pick out on a race, but I'm looking at the singers, every single one of them, black, white, with a couple of Asian people. There are a couple of Asian people in there. And when I'm kind of looking through and analysing all the videos, you know, there are a couple of Asian people that I like to follow, but yeah, okay, I see faults with them, but I see faults with everyone, so that doesn't matter. But So that's it's hard to. I can't just pick on Asians when I'm also picking on white and black and everyone else, because then it's just not proving anything. But the fact that almost all the angels are non-Asian, and then to see hordes of Asian people in outside a disposable hotel, and just standing around, like, why are they just standing around? I mean, do they not have a job? Okay, they probably don't. If they've come from a different country, they probably don't. And I know it's hard to get a job if you're not even allowed to work. If you want to pay taxes, but you can't pay taxes because you're not supposed to be in the country, and if paying taxes means that you're going to be spotted by the government and then removed, you might want to avoid taxes for that reason. So I understand that, but I also understand that this country is falling apart, and my singers, none of them are Asian, or very, very few of them are Asian. And I know that there are some good Asian people, but it is starting to seem a bit like a race war. And that's, I link Asian or Asian people with Islam, because a lot of them see it that they think, Muhammad's an Arab, I'm an Arab, I'm going to worship the Arab, or I'm going to follow the Arab religion. Because I'm an Arab, and a lot of people think like that, and that in itself is racist, okay? And therefore, Asians who follow Muhammad because he's an Arab, they are racist. They are judging someone solely by the color of their skin, or the location that they were born in and stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm tempted to write a newspaper article of saying like thinking of sort of headlines that can come through. Either you come and get me, and then you start exposing to the world that actually Israel is a woman, and she's basically Eve, and she's been reincarnated, and she's now in hiding, but anyone who wants to kill this woman basically need to die, or need to get out of the Western world, because we don't want you here. I mean, if something was revealed like that, I don't even know if that would work, or if that would be a good idea. I need to know what they're thinking. I've always avoided the subject of Islam, because I don't know what the conclusion is in that space. They've got a religion that's very against me in every way. That's just a list of things that I don't agree with. And when it comes to the pyramid and the upside down pyramid, the upside down pyramid needs to go the most. And there are plenty of Christians that are counted as that side. There's plenty of Muslims and Hindus that are counted on the inverted side. But Islam is basically the inverted pyramid, and therefore anyone that says that they're a Muslim and is serious about, if you say you're a Muslim, it's like, why? Oh, my family are Muslim. So do you go to a Qur'an once a year? Do you know anything about Muhammad? Oh, yeah, he's an Arab. If you say something like that, then I don't think there's much of a problem with you. But if you're going to say, oh yeah, I go every week, and oh, Muhammad's a great guy and amazing, and oh, Islam is so beautiful, and stuff like this, then I just think, the war needs to just be against all these people, and it might turn into a race war, and it's going to be bad. But at the same time, I think it's feeling like these angels, these singers, are kind of like representations of God's children, and different groups. So each angel represents a different thing, but there are lots of people in society that are very similar to them and relate to them. But these are kind of God's kids, God's family, God's pyramid. And it's all that pyramid, and these are all, there's a big range, and it's not about race necessarily. It's about mind, thinking, how they are, and stuff. And so there's the pyramid that you consider to be, I don't know, but it's if you start saying that Israel, like if you have a headline, Israel is a woman, and over the last 12 years she's been giving a spiritual birth, and her kids are anyone who can accept that Israel is a woman. Now, because of Islam, it's against Israel, it's against the Jews. We're not going to tell you who these people are, but these people are running the world, and they're not the worldly Jew. They're not the people who have the things, 2 pieces of hair dangling down the side, and a top hat, and a sort of black and white outfit. That's not a Jew. I mean, are you going to reveal this to the world and say that actually there is a different species on Earth, and the reason why this different species exists is because this woman who's called Israel in the Bible has been giving birth for the last 13 years, a spiritual birth, and you know who you are, by recognizing whether, is that what's going to happen? You're going to reveal that Israel is here, that Israel isn't hiding, all the mosques need to be shut down. Islam, anyone who's Muslim needs to be out of this country. But I think for you to if you're going to say something like this, a lot of them are going to start saying, oh, I'm not Muslim, and they would have to show their non-Muslimness by taking off hair veils and stuff. And you can, are you going to like make some sort of law saying that if you cover your hair for religious reasons, not for unreligious reasons, if you're covering hair because you don't want it to get burnt in the sun or wind as well. Actually, I watched Sound of Music. She covered her hair, but she was covering her hair because she was in an open top car and she didn't want the wind to destroy her hair. That's completely understandable. If you want to have a hair veil because you don't want the wind to start blowing your hair about and messing it up, that's completely normal. But yeah, if you're wearing hair veils for religious reasons because you think God likes it, God doesn't. Are you going to start saying this to them and seeing what the reaction is? Are you going to have a public vote? Are you going to maybe expose my face? Like I know you're going to have to expose my face at some point, but you might not even expose it at first. But at the same time, I would like to have a whole bunch of meetings where I actually talk to a lot of people, where I start saying, hi, yeah, I'm God. Why don't you believe in me? Or why are you thinking that I'm a star system when I'm actually, the woman of Revelation is me? Why would you think that I'm a bunch of stars that don't even look like a woman? Why would you think that? I want to have these meetings, and I want to have it whilst people do not know about me. So I think it does need to come in stages. First stage is helping, but because there is a stage where I just want to try and reduce the number of Muslims in non-Muslim countries. I think, like, on one hand it's good having them here because you can recognize that there's something different about them. There are a lot of Muslims that do not assimilate and do not, if you see Muslims in group walking around, they're usually in groups of people, and it's not groups of non-Muslims, it's groups of Muslims only. So they're like a flock of birds or something that only just stay in their flock, and they don't bring others in and stuff. But this is not the sort of people that we want living in. So I don't know. What are you going to do? Is stage one being to get these people out? And I know Nigel Farage is going on about start getting rid of people, but he's literally just saying in 3 years' time we're going to start moving them out. That's way too late. I don't know what you're planning, if you start saying Israel's here and then you've got me saying I'm Israel. People are going to know that I'm, I must be taken, I must have a whole group of people who take me seriously. And I guess I want to have some interviews before people know anything about me. I want to have interviews. I want to be a stage where I'm just talking to people and telling them that I'm Israel and actually getting views. I can't get them to interview me. I can't get them to talk to me. I can't get them to listen to me. I feel like I'm invisible, and I don't know what's wrong with them. If I sent them a message saying, can I talk to you, they just wouldn't respond. And that's the only thing that's the only kind of conversation I have with people, where I just write messages to people and I get absolutely no response. That is the only response that I ever get. And I really fucking hate this world, and I hate everyone here, and I hate this fucked up planet full of mentally ill people, and I'm really, really angry. I'm really angry that you've ignored me for 13 years. And I'm angry that no one seems to be helping me, and I've got UN doing nothing, absolutely nothing, just congratulating themselves on how amazing of a job they're doing, screwing up the planet. And I want the planet to be screwed up because everyone's rejecting me. No one's talking to me. Why should I help you if you don't want to help me? It's been 13 years. Writing songs about me is not helping me. Why? Because I'm telling people that this is about me, and no one gives a shit. No one's listening. No one cares. No one wants to click on my videos. People listen for 2 seconds and then just insult me. That's I don't even get that these days. I don't get any kind of response. It's just like I'm not here. It feels like I'm not here. I'm angry. I'm going mad. I've gone mad so many times, and I'm frustrated. And I want to make an article where I talk about different headlines. You know, should you expose to the world that Israel is here, and therefore anyone who is a Muslim is against this woman? And if you also expose that this woman is basically like an alien from another planet, and she's given birth to lots of people, and she's turned lots of humans into this new species, and this new species is now going to kill anyone that is a Muslim, hence you better convert out of the religion or you're going to die. You know, if you make a headline like a newspaper article about that, you know, would that convert people? Probably. I mean, I don't I think it would be easy to get rid of Christians because you just need to say I'm Christ and they'll say no. But then again, if you've done something like that, that might not even work, because the whole point of people need to think that they can easily reject me and not see me as Christ, because they need to think that Jesus is Christ, so they can get into. So I'm confused how we can get rid of Islam and Christianity without making it clear that I am actually God and I am actually Christ. And I don't know how these two things are. You know, Christianity and Islam are completely different things. They're almost opposites. You've got Jesus that talks about, you know, getting into heaven and stuff like this, and then you've got Islam that's just about murdering people. But the people who believe it don't actually think that. They think it's about beautiful things, being beautiful and covering yourself so that you look like a freak. I don't know what to do, and I'm confused because I see all these migrant hotels, and I'm hoping that the whole point of these migrant hotels is just to get a bunch of people in a hotel, test them to see how Islamic they are, and if they score high on their Islamic exam or whatever, kill them. You know, that I'm hoping that is the plan, but I do not know because no one's telling me that is the plan, and I'm just getting frustrated. And I don't want to hate Asian people just because they're Asian, because that's not how it works. It's about how you think. But I can't know how people think if they don't tell me. They don't tell me what they're doing. I'm going to watch my fish. That will help me calm down.